So here we are, Sam. Let me welcome you to this interview. I'm very, very excited to have you as a guest tonight. So let's start. And I hope you are not too nervous. I know this is your very first one, very first live interview.
I'm doing my best. I've done some training, so hopefully I won't fall apart.
No, you definitely won't. It's going to be a nice, light-hearted conversation. And I really like your courage that you decided to do it, because this is also what it takes to follow your career dreams or business dreams, stepping out of the comfort zone and pursuing your dreams. And sometimes that can feel really scary. So I remember my times back in May when I started doing the Facebook Lives, and I was petrified. But you're here, so
Uh,
thank you so much. Let's just check in with the guys online. Yeah, we already have some people who are watching. So hello everyone, welcome
Hello.
tonight. If you are watching, I'm really curious to find out where are you watching from, because I know we have some followers from the US, from UK, from Europe. So I would be really, really excited to know where you are watching from. So feel free to say hi in the comment below the video and what to expect tonight. So let me introduce myself and my guest, Sammy. My name is Adriana Kosowska, and I'm the founder of a platform called Zero to Dream Job that is dedicated to helping people in their 30s and 40s to follow their career dreams. You know, I usually work with people who feel frustrated, stuck, they don't know what to do next, they don't know, let's say, how to move on so they can follow their dreams. And part of my dream was to really interview people who made the impossible possible, people who started their own businesses, people who started to follow their career dreams, and people who really found their dream job. Because I believe it makes such a difference when you are doing what you love and getting paid for doing what you love. So Sam is one of the guests. I met her this year on a blogging course, I believe. And Sam, without a further ado, would you like to introduce yourself? Who is Sam, and what does she love doing?
Thank you, Adri. It's so lovely to be here, and I'm honoured that you've invited me. So I'm Sam, and I'm the founder and owner of My Mortgage Angel. So I offer, my goal is to offer fee-free, friendly mortgage advice. I don't
Hmm.
want to be one of those mortgage advisors that are intimidating or people are scared to ask questions. I want all of my clients to understand what their options are,
Hmm.
to make the right decisions, because if you find the right mortgage, then you can do different things with your life and you can just not have to worry about it. It shouldn't be something that you're worried about, but ultimately a lot of people do panic about financial things. I just want to make it as easy as possible for everyone.
As easy as possible. And we will learn more about your exciting journey today, because you shared in when I asked you those 3, 4 questions initially when we were preparing the blog about your interview, that initially you didn't think of running a business for yourself. You literally just did it because you were interested in mortgages and finding out more details, making it easier for yourself, for your family, and maybe for somebody else. But before we go into that, I would like to invite people, if you have any questions for Sam or me, feel free to put them in the comment below this video, and we will come back to your questions. Yes, so we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So feel free to pop them there. Don't be shy. If you don't ask, you don't know, you don't get. So anything that you are curious about, whether it's about mortgages, starting a business, or even a career change, feel free to pop your question below. And towards the end of the interview, we will come back to your questions and answer them. Okay, so let us start on your story with the question. I usually ask this question everyone. As a girl, did you have a dream job? Like, did you want to run a business? Was there a profession that you wanted to follow, or was it more like I go any direction where my life will take me? What was it like for you?
That's really interesting, Adri, because I've never really thought about it I never wanted to own my own business.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to employ people, and here I am 4 years after starting my own business. I've taken on my first employee as well, so it's all turned around quite quickly. But I decided to start my own business, like I say, 4 years ago, just because of changes that were going on in my life, and it was the right time and it was the right thing to do. But I hadn't considered it until the moment arrived, and I'm quite a cautious person. I like a plan. I've got a plan for everything, and this kind of came out of the blue, and within 6 months really it turned itself into this giant baby that was all taking off.
And do you remember what was the trigger? Was it that, because I take it you were a mom already by then? Was it that you wanted to be with your family, or did you just had enough of working for other people? And I mean this in a nice way, not in a horrible way, but sometimes it happens that people just feel that they want to become their own boss. Or did you want to have a more flexibility? What was it for you? What was it that's triggered that kind of either need or desire? And in your case, sounds like it was more a need and a reaction to how your life was unfolding. So what was it for you, if you do remember?
There were lots of things that all created the perfect storm, really. But I think my main driving force was to help people to understand the mortgage options and for them not to be scared. I remember I went to Nationwide myself many years ago, and walked into branch and said, I'd like a 2-year fixed rate mortgage. And they said, oh, madam, you can't do that. You need to see a mortgage advisor. So booked an appointment. I saw them, and 4 hours later, the very lovely man said, I think you need a 2-year fixed rate mortgage. At which point I'm banging my head against a brick wall thinking, it shouldn't be this difficult. It shouldn't be this complicated. So I'd already taken my mortgage exams, because when we took our first mortgage out, I was really interested in what it was all about. And we had a great mortgage advisor who saved us a lot of money just making smart decisions. I was really interested in it. So I actually took my exams not long after we took out our first mortgage. Turned out I was actually really good at retaining the knowledge, because that's the thing. If you're interested in something, you're going to read the books faster and it's going to go into your head so much quicker than if you're studying something that actually you're not interested in. So that was where it all came from. But then we've got 2 beautiful boys, and they're both at school. And I was working in London. I really loved my job where I was working. Lovely bunch of people. I really loved what I did, but I wanted to pick them up from school just once a week, just on a Friday. But that's a 2-hour commute either way from where we were living. So it really wasn't feasible. And our eldest son has got lots of medical appointments ongoing. And I need to be there for him. So I started racking my brains thinking, well, what can I do that's around the family, but actually makes me feel good about what I'm doing? Because I've had jobs before where I wasn't allowed to shine or deliver the service levels that I wanted to. And I remember one boss in particular told me that I had to drop my standards and do less for clients. So I handed my notice in right away.
And that didn't feel right for you at all.
Yeah. Whatever you do, you spend so much time at work, you've got to enjoy it. And if your heart is not in line with the values, then there's always going to be, it's not going to feel right it's not going to be right for the company, and it's not going to be right for you. And whilst it pays the bills, it's not actually making anyone happy. And I think we should all be happy.
Yeah, I totally agree. But on the other hand, I also know from experience of working with my clients that fears do come in your way. And I think for many people, still hearing about others that they follow the dream or start a business or find the dream job sounds like a fairy tale. Yeah, this is literally where people think sounds really good, and it's good it happens to other people, but maybe they're lucky. Why am I not lucky? and then the fears do kick in, and let's say it's challenging for a person to really work through their fears, maybe even if they don't have the right support around you. So you mentioned where I'm leading with all these fears is you mentioned a planning. So why planning? Did it help you to overcome your fears? Was it that plan kind of helped you to visualize where you want to go? Or because planning is also kind of scary for many people. Yeah. It's, I remember myself, I create a plan and I don't follow through. My discipline is really, really bad. I really have to be highly committed or highly believe in what I'm doing. And then I find it easy to follow these plans. So, what was the approach that you took from that moment that, yes, I want to do something around mortgages? How did it look like with the planning?
So I had to, because I was in a full-time job that I loved and I was earning a really good salary. So I knew that I couldn't just go straight to being self-employed. I had no clients. I had no no structure to the business. I had really no
Mhm,
idea what I was doing. So I knew I needed to work out how it was all going to work. But I knew the first thing,
mhm,
because I knew about mortgages already, I knew the first thing that I needed to do was to sort my mortgage out to make sure that financially I could cope with what I was going,
mhm,
what change was going to happen. Because when you go self-employed, it takes 2 years for lenders to start using recognizing your income and using it on a mortgage application.
mhm,
So because I was in a very well paid job, we remortgaged to where we needed to be so that we knew we didn't have to worry for 5 years. So that gave me that breathing space for 5 years.
mhm,
I knew I didn't have to prove my income to anybody. All I then needed to earn was enough to pay my bills. So that took the pressure off of me to start with.
mhm,
And then the second thing I did was I got a part-time job. It was 4 days a week, not very part-time, but it was in a mortgage advisor's office. So I was doing lots of reports. I was getting really involved with what to do, because it's one thing studying mortgages and knowing how to process them and what to do, but it's a total different ball game when you're actually trying to place business with lenders, when they're changing their criteria. You don't know what documents they're going to need or how you need to support things.
mhm.
So learning that on a hands-on basis was really invaluable to me. And I spent 2 years working on that part-time basis whilst I was building my business up. And
Did you not have any conflict of interest, or and did your boss knew about this? Because this is one of the fears sometimes people have. Can I tell my employer that I do have a side gig, I have a passion, and then obviously that kind of creates that inner fear. So what was it for you? Were you open? And I don't know if you can even share about this, but how did you handle that situation? But finding that part-time job, and you were in a similar industry already, starting on a business that could
yeah,
potentially mean a conflict of interest.
yes, it could well have been a conflict of interest, but I was really lucky with the person I met. Actually
Hmm.
took me under his wing and said that he would help me to grow my business by teaching me the rules. Um, so yeah, it was kind of I help you with this and then you help me with that. So I did a lot of the work that he didn't have time to do and he didn't enjoy doing. So that was what I brought to the table, and fresh ideas really. Somebody new in
Hmm.
business always brings a different energy and different ways of doing things. And I'm a big fan of keeping things as fresh as they can.
Hmm.
He taught me the side of the business that I needed support with. So, yes, I was talking to his clients, but there was a very clear divide. These are your
Hmm.
clients, and you deal. I dealt with my clients in the evenings and weekends. So it was a big challenge on my family. They did kind of lose me for about 2 years while I was managing this 4 days
Hmm.
a week for him and then growing my own business. But really, luckily, after 2 years of having that balance, I built up enough client bank to just go it alone. And yeah, that was just over 2 years ago now. I haven't had any other income other than what I've generated myself. And every month, apart from one, I've been able to pay myself my regular salary. And
Hmm.
I'm really quite proud of that, because going from nothing to fully self-sustaining in a matter of 2 years, and then 2 years later I'm taking someone on. I think it's a huge achievement, but it's taken huge dedication and lots of effort and lots of sleepless nights. So the planning side of things has just helped me put the structure in place to where I needed to be.
So what I hear from what you shared is that it really pays off to know what your next step is going to be. At least if you don't have to have like a full clarity, but know what the next step is, and then surround yourself with people or with the company that can help you to get to the next stage, and not be afraid to be clear about this, because sometimes I hear from people, yeah, I have a dream, but this is what I would like to do, but can I tell my boss? Would they not fire me? Or when I go for the interview, can I share about my ambitions? Can I share that I have a side gig and I'm also passionate about this? So what's your view on this? If you were to do it again, would you do it the same way? Would you do something differently?
I actually wouldn't change anything about my journey, when I did it, how I did it. I've learned a lot along the way, and I think each bump along the road shapes who you are, and it shapes the road that you go down. And some of those are good and some of those are bad. But more recently, Adri, I've been interviewing to take on an assistant for myself. And because I'm offering a part-time job, I've been really interested to see the applicants that were coming to me. Actually, some of them were already running their own businesses, some of them were starting their own businesses, and I was also embracing somebody who might want to do exactly what I've done, come in and train to be a mortgage advisor and also set up your own business. And I'm 100% support for anybody, no matter what the business was going to be. I would have supported anybody that just had that drive and passion to do something. But I think it's probably very company specific. I should imagine there are some companies out there that would be quite protective and wouldn't allow their employees to dream or have ambition. And I'd probably say that maybe they're not the right companies for you to be working with. So if you can't be honest with your boss, then maybe that's not the right boss for you.
I was going to say it's quite brave because you're eventually growing your own competition, right?
Yeah.
And but the way what I hear from you, it's more about like being there for somebody else and maybe returning, being of service to what somebody's helped you with, and returning that paid forward now onto somebody maybe younger, more with the career dreams, to help them step on their career ladder or business ladder, if you like. And one more question I had on that part-time job, because I love it. I think it's very brave of you what you have done. And if there was one big mistake that you have made during that part-time job and setting up your own business, what do you think it was? And how would you do it differently if you had another chance?
I think probably my biggest mistake was not believing in myself sooner. It took me 2 years to take the plunge, and as soon as I committed to my business full time, I think my business quadrupled that year. So if I'd done that earlier, I might have been happier a year earlier. But I don't know what I would have missed along the way of that other year in the office. So might not be a huge mistake, but would have been probably the only advice I could give to myself now, if I could go back in time, would be to just get myself and surround myself with the people that help me. I met you through networking, and I've been to 22 different networks across the UK, and meeting all these fantastic people who are like-minded and driven. And in the networking space, everybody's collaborating. Even if you haven't started your business, you can go along to a network saying, I'm just about to start my business, or I'm thinking of starting a business, and you will attract people that will help and support you. And you'll make different decisions, and the planning process will change along the way until you finally nail what it is that makes you get up in the morning with bright eyes, rather than thinking, oh my God, it's Monday morning, I've got to go to work. That's not right for anybody, I don't think.
No, I agree with you. So, if I got it right, Sam, you had 2 years thinking of starting your business and then 2 years working on your business part-time, or you meant 2 years when you were in that part-time situation while you were before you went full-time?
Yeah, 2 years in the part-time job.
Okay.
And it did take me about 6 months to formulate my idea of what the business was going to look like, how I was going to make any money, because I decided not to charge a fee for my advice.
Mm-hmm.
Revenue, all mortgage advisors get paid commission from lenders, and we also get commission from life insurance sale, but you don't get that commission till quite late in the stage. So you almost have to do a 2-year cycle from your business to actually really start making enough money to pay your own bills. Yeah, financially, I knew I needed to have some stable money coming in, which is why I took the part-time job for a couple of years.
And why did you decide to go for this free advice? Is it to give people the freedom of choice, or is it because you are also maybe passionate about educating people on mortgages? What was really the because in today's era, it sounds quite, I would say, extraordinary to offer people free advice, and people are thinking, well, is it really free? What's behind it? So, what was your, I would say, desire or maybe intention for offering this free advice and implement it as a part of your business model?
I think that excellent mortgage advice is something that everybody should have. I don't think there really aren't very many people out there that would have enough knowledge to make the right decisions for themselves every time on their mortgage. So using a professional, it adds so many benefits that I couldn't possibly explain here. And I didn't want to exclude anybody from being able to access that advice. I work primarily with first-time buyers, and I work with a lot of divorcees who possibly couldn't even afford to pay an upfront advice fee, and I didn't want to put those people off. I'm about helping people, and I want to help people that want help and that really want to engage with the process. So that was why I decided not to charge a fee. And the commission is a percentage of the mortgage, the size of the mortgage or the life insurance that you write. So long as you've got a mixed bag of the size of clients that you're dealing with, one case could pay for a month's salary, and the other, you might have to do 10 smaller cases or 20 smaller cases to cover your fees. So long as there's a mix of what's going on and you understand where your money's coming from, then you can start to plan, okay, I need this many clients at this size or this many clients at this size, and then you can start targeting who you want to work with.
Okay, got it. And we are quite nicely moving into money and mortgage. So before we jump into the topic of mortgage, which I know you're very passionate about, and I have to be honest, I have no clue about mortgages either. So for me, that's a very scary topic. Do you have maybe 2 or 3 tips you would like to give to somebody who is right now maybe was made redundant, maybe it's just reached that stage that sitting at a job, sitting in a job that feels comfortable, gives a paycheck, gives regular income, but doesn't feel like that person anymore, and they are thinking, well, shall I do this? Maybe there is nothing better than this, and I'm just losing or risking my current job. So they're in that stage deciding what to do next, knowing they are not quite happy, but they want to be in a better place. What would be the 3 tips you would give somebody who is thinking of changing jobs, changing careers, or starting their own business?
That's a really tricky question. I think if you sort out your finances, so you know what your bills are going to be, you can reduce those bills as far as you can. Often people can reduce their mortgage payments. You might be able to stretch the term, or you might be able to change the interest rate that you're on. There's always options. You could move lender, or you can renegotiate with the existing lender that you've got. If you talk to a mortgage advisor, someone will, I'm whole of market, somebody can tell you what all the options are rather than just for the bank you're with at the moment, then that will give you an idea of what's possible and know how much you need to earn and how you might be able to do that. been made redundant, or if your financial situation's changed, you should phone your lender, your current lender at the time, and they all have helplines to help you work out your money and try and come to some kind of payment plan, so that you don't lose your home and they don't end up losing out of it. It's always better to talk to the bank sooner rather than later if you're having financial difficulties. That's definite. But when it's a planning point of view, your bank probably isn't the first place that you would go to ask those questions. If you come to somebody outside that could help with the planning, tell you what the options might be, I think that would help you just have a bigger picture of what's going on. Answer your question?
Yes, it did, because we talked about the personal motivation already, and when I did my research, it's actually I came across two main reasons why people are really scared to make a transition, either in their job, in their career, or in their business, and that's fear of failure. And the second one is fear of money, fear of managing of money, maybe not so much paying, but not generating enough revenue. And I think knowing that you have that option, or that you have different options, so there is somebody that you can actually talk to, a professional who can give you advice, I think it's priceless. It's really valuable, and it's good to know these days that you don't have to sit at home and worry about it, and instead of that, just talk to somebody who can give you really professional guidance. So yes, I would say so. And money often, what intrigues me is every interview that I have around the dream job, the topic of money always comes up.
That's why we go to
So
work.
what is your view on that money? Exactly. But what's your view then on money in general in life? How do you see, because running a business, yeah, one of the reasons for running the business is your passion, but the second reason is to generate profit, because otherwise it's just expensive hobby. So what is your view on the topic of money and business, or money and career in general?
Well, I always say that I'm not motivated by money, but ultimately I must be, because we have to pay the bills, and I have to keep a track on what the income to the business is. Can I pay the bills? So on some level, I must be motivated by money. But to me, it's about doing the right thing for a client. And countless times I've had conversations with clients that have ended up with me saying, yes, you can afford to do what you want to do, but actually, I think when you think about it on an emotional level, now might not be the right time for you. And I think they value the honesty of somebody that's not just trying to sell them the most expensive mortgage that they could get. I think business is about doing the best you can with what you've got. And if you can help somebody and it only takes half an hour of your time, then I think that's a good thing to do. I think businesses should collaborate as far as they can. So I often meet with other mortgage advisors and we share tips and ideas on to do, or what's worked for me from a marketing point of view, and then what might work with them. And then you come up with these new ideas that you hadn't thought of on your own, and that generates even more income for the business.
Perfect. So it's a combination of money, but money and maybe a purpose, what I hear from you, being of service. So it's combination of those two things. And if you don't have them in balance, it wouldn't work for you. If is that the correct understanding?
I think you've nailed that there, actually, Adri. If you don't enjoy your job, then all you're focusing on is the money. I enjoy my job, so I'm not really focusing on the money. So that's where the balance shifts.
Where the balance shifts, yeah. And do you think that's maybe your secret to why the business took off so quickly? Because I talk to people who, let's say, their business didn't take off that quickly. They were hoping to generate the revenue. So what do you think was your trick to really launching that business? Is it following that passion and being more focused on providing a good service, making a difference? Because I hear from you that the money is important for you, but it comes second after the service, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why my business succeeded as quickly as it did, or the level that it did. It's actually exceeded my wildest dreams, and I'm so grateful for it. I have worked exceptionally hard. Lots of evenings, lots of weekends, lots of stress. It's not an easy ride setting up your own business by any stretch of the imagination. And certainly if I rewind back to March when COVID first kind of affected things that were going on, I didn't know how I was going to pay my own mortgage. Thankfully, I've managed it every month, and I'm now in a much better place from where I was in March, again down to planning and thinking, just restructuring, thinking actually what do I need to do and where do I need to go. And I think a lot of businesses have had to make changes over the last few months. But the biggest revenue of business for me is face to face. It's talking to people, it's networking, it's just going out and telling people who you are, what you do, what kind of clients you're looking for, but also how can you help other businesses. I do try really hard to help other businesses where I can. I've just mentioned other mortgage advisors. I'll share with them the marketing that works well for me. It might work well for them, but at least it's a different idea for them to think about. I try and send people to hairdressers and garden designers and builders and anybody really, interior design, anybody that my clients say, oh, I need somebody, we just bought a new house and I need some blinds fitted. Well, actually, I know somebody that does really fantastic blinds, so I'll connect them to you, and then that person then thinks kindly of you, the client's happy, and everybody wins out of that situation. So sharing the love with other businesses and trusting other people, I think that to me is probably the most enjoyable part of my business. And I do spend a lot of as well, because running a business it can be quite lonely. I'm sat in an office all day every day, and I'm talking all day every day to clients and providers. It's the networking that gives me that social interaction that I was missing when I went from a nice busy office in London to sat in my garden in Benfleet.
and work by yourself all day long. Yeah, no one asking, Sam, what's worrying you? Or let's have a quick coffee and talk through this like you would in the office.
Let's do your appraisal, see how you're getting on.
Yeah. Okay then, so I'm just thinking what next to cover in our interview, because there is a quite wide range of topics. Thing that comes to my mind is probably let's talk a little bit more about the mortgage, because this is one of the quite regular topics I often hear from the people, and I understand from your profession that you are quite regulated in your industry. So I think we need to also make the disclaimer that maybe sharing some tips or advice that we share here might come more from your personal experience. But would it be okay if we look at maybe some more scenarios, like maybe what to expect from talking to a mortgage advisor, when is the right time to talk to a mortgage advisor, and how to deal maybe with a few situations, especially maybe timing, what is the good timing of taking on the mortgage, especially when you are considering your career change or starting your own business. So would that be all right? Is there an angle that we can take so we don't get you into trouble?
Yes, yes, I am regulated in the UK, so I have to watch what I say. But what can you expect from a mortgage advisor? They need to understand what your income and your expenses are going to be. So they're going to need 3 months pay slips from you if you're in an employed role, or 2 years worth of income details from your accountant. They're called tax calculations and tax year overviews. You'll need 2 years worth of those. And then some lenders will take an average of the last 2 years. Some lenders will work off the latest years. Some lenders will go off the lowest years. They're all very different, but most lenders will need 2 years. Some will go off of 1 year in exceptional circumstances. So that's why the planning of when you take your mortgage versus when you take that career leap into something that's going to make you happy. If you're moving into an employed role, some lenders will consider a mortgage application just when you've got your contract of your new job starting, even if it doesn't start for 3 months' time, you can use that for your mortgage application. And most lenders would need you to have been in the role for 3 months before you could use that income on a mortgage, from a mortgage point of view. And like I said, for self-employed, most lenders would expect 2 years worth of income. Yeah. And then they're going to look at the debt that you've got. So any committed expenses that you've got, any credit cards, any loans, any car finance, any student loans, anything that's in your name. And they will take a multiple of your income and they will take off your debt. They'll use it, they're all got their own affordability, and they'll tell you what they'll lend you in the perfect world. They're then going to, the lenders are then going to look at your credit file to make sure that there's nothing in there that they're unhappy to lend on. So it's often good to have a check on what's going on in your credit file. And the top that are used in the UK are Experian, Equifax and Call Credit. You can, most of them you can check your scores for free, and if you don't have the perfect score, then look at your credit report and see what's going on. I'm working with a client recently who had a very low credit score, and we thought it was for one reason, but when we looked at the report, there was actually an error on there from 2 years ago that had been left on there by a mobile phone company, and it had hugely damaged her credit score to the point she couldn't get a mortgage. So she went back to the mobile phone company, they've apologised, they've paid her compensation, they've corrected her credit score, mortgage, but all of those things take time. If you've already found the dream house that you want to buy and then you come across problems like this, there's such a delay and there's such stress involved with that situation that it's not good for anyone. From a timing point of view, I'd say if you're remotely thinking about buying a house, talk to a mortgage advisor. They'll be able to tell you what your mortgage capacity is now, and then you know how much deposit you need, and then you know if you need to make any changes to get to where you need to be. And then if someone gives you a plan of you need X number of pounds in the bank for your deposit, you've got a target and you know the purpose, and it's so much easier to be, when you're focused, it's easier to get yourself in that space. You know what you're working towards. And then from the whole experience, so I would normally meet people, understand their situation, and then do their affordability calculations, work through where they need to go. When you're ready, you'd get a decision in principle from a mortgage lender, which does check your credit file. And it gives you a certificate that says, yes, this bank is willing to lend you this amount of money. And that's typically when you can start looking at buying houses. Because estate agents will want to see that you've got proof of funds before they let you put an offer in on a property. It's actually a lot earlier than people think when they're buying a house. When you've bought a house, you would normally take it on a fixed rate. Most people would do a 2 or a 5 year or a 10-year fixed rate mortgage, but that just means the rate is going to end. So when the rate ends, you should be looking at it at least 3 months before that rate ends. So I actually send out mortgage anniversary cards to my clients a year before their rate ends, telling them what the dates are and then when I'll get in touch with them, so that it's something they don't have to worry about, and you can't miss the date, because the bank will send you a letter to say your mortgage rate is increasing in most instances, but I think they only give you about 30 days notice, and that's not enough time to move to another lender if that's the right thing for you to do.
Okay. So what I hear from you that there is loads of preparation involved, and how do you help clients to get over that initial fear? Because talking about money, mortgage, I'm sure it brings maybe a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of fear, sometimes maybe a worry about that someone is going to judge my financial situation, what I can afford, what I cannot. Maybe even sometimes dealing with disappointment because I was hoping that I could find better options, but they are not available to me at this point in time. So how do you handle these, I would say, sensitive situations with clients where it doesn't go as they expect it?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I'd always meet a client in a confidential environment where they could talk freely. I,
Hmm.
I don't travel to clients' homes anymore because I found that partners would be in another room, and then you can't be as honest with any debt situations that you've got.
Hmm.
Certainly for first-time buyers, their parents might be in the next room, and they might not be comfortable enough having that conversation. So
Hmm.
I always invite clients to come to my office, which is confidential. But on the flip side of that is when you are a first-time buyer, actually invite the parents along as well, because they've got preconceived ideas about mortgages. And I hear a lot of, well, in my day, well, yeah, but mortgages have changed quite a lot since then. So I try and get the parents involved so that everybody knows where we're going, and there's no conflict at home then, because everybody understands
Hmm.
the best situation. And just being honest and open with people. I'm very honest about my situation, where I've been, how I've got to where I am, and just trying to build up that trust with somebody. If they can't trust me with their bank statements, then they're not going to want to send them to a lender from a mortgage application point of view.
Hmm.
And I like to offer the service that just come and talk to me. We'll talk it all through. Then when you're ready, we'll take the next step of looking at bank statements and working everything out. But it's very much, it's down to the client's time frame. I don't ever chase clients. If they want me to help them, then I absolutely will. I'll bend over backwards to help, but I don't push anybody, because quite frankly, there isn't the time to be chasing the clients around that are not ready to be helped.
Hmm. I understand. So it has to be mutual. A person has to feel comfortable with you, but on the other hand, you also have to feel comfortable with the person so you can help them really to provide the service. It kind of sounds like a relationship with the doctor to me. Where you really disclosing your health. Here you are disclosing your finances, and sometimes you go with those little worries or maybe anxiety. But it's really when you meet the right doctor, when you meet the right mortgage advisor, that the burden can come off your shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to find the relationship that works for you. And there are hundreds and
Hmm.
probably thousands of mortgage advisors out there. So there is somebody that's right for everybody out there. I'm certainly not the right mortgage advisor for everybody in the UK. But yeah, hopefully people will do their research and find the person that's right for them.
And that takes me on the question I actually wanted to ask earlier. And what kind of people do you really enjoy working with? Because you mentioned you're probably not right for everybody, but if you were to describe a person who you are a perfect fit for, would you be able to describe this person?
I've done quite a lot of work in this space, and it's difficult because I like to help people. So I
Hmm.
think my ideal client is somebody who is open to listening to ideas, is
Hmm.
comfortable enough talking to me that I can add value to what they're saying. People who are very set in their ways are sometimes not the easiest to listen to. A new product that may have come on the market that you're trying to explain, and if it's outside of somebody's
Hmm.
comfort zone and they're not willing to listen, then that's quite difficult. Um, I really enjoy working with people who are happy with planning, and they want to work out, how much can I afford, how much can I borrow, what do I need to change to get to where I want to be.
Hmm.
I want to remortgage to update the kitchen, but I don't know how much I can afford. They're the people not necessarily worrying about money, but they're planning what they want to do.
Hmm.
People that phone me on a Monday morning and say, I've bought a house on Saturday, and now I need a mortgage decision in principle. Can you help me? I'll be honest, they're more difficult clients because they've got a different mindset to me. They've gone and bought a house and they don't know if they can afford it. Um,
Hmm.
Whereas to me, that's all a little bit backwards. I would work out, what can I afford, before I then go and start looking for houses.
And what do you do then when you come across people like that? Because they might just have been unfortunate or maybe unlucky not to have that kind of, let's say, yeah, thinking hat. Yeah, not everyone loves planning. So what would you do in that case if someone like that phones you up and obviously you don't feel that you're the best fit? You would still go ahead with that, or what's your approach?
If they ask for my help, I'll tell them my honest advice. And sometimes that is, I'm not the right person to help you. And sometimes that's, okay, come on, let's get together. What can we do? How can we make this work? And some of them have gone on to be very, very dear clients, and now I've learned how to work with them, and they've learned how to work with me, because we're all individuals, and all these different relationships that I'm making with these hundreds of clients, and you have to treat everybody individually. And that's really what I want to do. I want to remember that client is actually, they like to be treated like this. I've got one client that doesn't check his emails very regularly, so he likes me to send him a text message when I've sent him an email. A big organisation is not going to be able to cope with people like that. I like the individual approach, because ultimately I treat people how I'd like to be treated myself, and I like to feel special when I'm dealing with a business or a company. So that's how I like to treat my clients.
Like it. So I hear there is a need for honesty, and if you cannot help the person, if you do not feel that you are the right person, it's better not to go down that road to maybe avoid a conflict in the future. Do you then make referrals? Because you mentioned that you love to collaborate also with other businesses, and this can be very helpful. I remember, because I have a similar strategy. Not every person that comes feels like we are aligned, how we want to work together, and I might refer them to someone else. And people were actually shocked by that approach, that I would recommend them a different business instead of taking that job by myself. So what was your experience? Do you recommend other businesses, and what is the reaction of people to that kind of situation?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's enough business out there for everybody. So if I'm not the right person for somebody, or it might be that they've caught me on the day before I go on holiday for 2 weeks, and I'm not allowed to work when I'm outside of the UK. And I wouldn't want somebody to have to wait 2 weeks just because I'm on holiday if they've found a property. So definitely I'd recommend somebody else. And there's lots of different reasons why somebody might fit with another advisor. And that's the beauty of knowing so many other advisors. I know them personally, and I know how they work. So it's recommending somebody that you know they're going to fit with straight away. And I think that builds another level of trust with my business, rather than just kind of trying to shoehorn them into working with me. That's not right for anybody. And like I said right at the beginning, the values are just not going to fit, and it's not going to be a happy relationship, or a very long one either.
And did you have the same happening maybe to you, that other people were referring their clients to you? Just curious.
I do work with a lady who is qualified for mortgages, but it's not really her main client bank. So she does refer clients to me, and I refer clients back to her that are more suited to what she does. So we do work quite well together.
It's a nice collaboration. Alrighty then, Sam. So I think we are coming towards the end of our interview. We didn't have any comments so far, so let me maybe ask the last question before we say goodnight for tonight. And that question would be, to end it on a positive note, because the purpose of these interviews is really to inspire people to fall asleep with a desire, ambition, and aspiration to really follow their career dreams, whether it's career change or the business. So what would be the words of encouragement, or maybe tips you really like to give to somebody specifically who wants to start their business?
So you've just got to go for it 100%. I'm the happiest I think I've ever been in my life. Everything around me has just fallen into place, and you spend so much time at work. If you're not happy at work, that filters through to every other part of your life. Your family, your health is affected as well, physically and emotionally. So you might not be able to jump straight into your dream job in one step. It might take 2 or 3 steps along the way. Definitely use someone as fabulous as yourself to
Thank you.
through the way, because that's that moral support that people need, and it's that just checking in and holding people accountable. And there were some rocks along my journey, but I had that support and I knew that it was going to be worth it in the end. And I'm now so much further along that journey, and I'm so much happier than I've been. So I'd say just do it, and ask the people that you need to help, ask them, and they will help you.
Mm-hmm. So go for it and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Definitely.
Instead of staying stuck. Okay, then Sam, I think you've done amazingly well for the first live interview. So how was it for you?
It was okay. It was lovely chatting with you. We've got such similar values. It's really refreshing chatting with you, Audrey. Thank you.
No, and I feel really, really excited that you have been here with us, and I hope we have inspired at least one person. Yeah, because I always say these interviews, if they inspire at least one person to follow their dreams, eventually over the years, that number will just grow and grow and grow. And I think it's important to spread the message that happiness and fulfillment in career, in business, are just equally as important as money. Because if we are not healthy, if we are not happy by what we are doing, as you mentioned, it really takes, I would say, it costs us a lot in life, whether it's health, whether it's relationships, whether it's just believe about yourself, yeah, your own self-worth. And I think for whether you are single or whether you're a parent, is so important that we fully explore the potential that we can explore in the life that we have, because we only have one life. So on that note, I really want to say big thank you for being brave and joining me tonight, and wish you all the best in your business. Looking forward to hearing some more news from you in the future, and yeah, best of luck.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to see you.
And last comment, feel free to include the comments in the comments links. So if people want to reach out to you guys, I'm more than happy for you to approach Sam directly. She works across the UK, although she's based in the Essex area. So if you would like to reach out to Sam, Sam, would you be happy to leave your links to your business website, maybe to your Facebook page below, so people can find you?
Yeah, definitely. You need to show me how to do that.
No problem at all. It will just pop up as a comment on a Facebook. So, but I'll support you with that. Don't worry at all. And if you are thinking of a career change or starting your own business, you don't know what your talents are, you are really going through a tough phase, thinking how to do it, what to do, I invite you to join our free online Facebook group that is called Zero to Dream Job Club. It's free, it's a safe space where you can start connecting with your desires, get inspiration. And if you want to jumpstart your career change, then feel free to reach out to me, and you can also arrange a free discovery call without any obligations, but really just to start reaching out for support. And it's important to know that you don't have to be stuck. As Sam said, you can really skyrocket and jumpstart, follow your dreams. So wish you good night. Hope you enjoyed this video, and let's dream tonight about your career dreams and your business dreams, and where you would like them to take you in your life. So good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, let me stop this.